Well, hello, my darlings. Back here with the great big ugly for my 100 days idea for this week. And it is a reminder to myself to play more with my modeling paste, texture paste, and my Brusho crystals. So it's just, just to give that raised sort of effect on different pieces. There's a collage piece from Rachel's new kit, which I'll be sticking into shortly, with just the Brusho in a modeling paste. And then I've got two ideas now stuck into the book. So I do get a bit rambly. I make an crazy mess in my craft room. You wouldn't believe. Honestly, look at my hands. But I've had a bit of fun, and I'm fixing to go have more fun with what was left over. So I hope you stick around and enjoy. If you like, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. And next, I'm going to show you all the things that I gathered together to start playing with. So back in a tick. Right, so the Great Ugly is safely away. I've gathered a bunch of materials together. Paper, of course, to work with. Got my Brusho crystals out. I've got a container here, which will make more sense once I get stuck in and started. A little bit of water, palette knives, rag, pots. Now, I save these little glass goo pots. They're like dessert pots you can get here in the UK. But they're brilliant for working with mixed media, paint and things. For the sake of today, I've also got some little Chinese takeaway sauce pots that I've saved. So something to mix it in. And to explain now, texture paste, this is the brand name texture paste that you find over in your paint section. Really expensive. I think I paid $12.99 or something. It was like between £12 and £14 I paid for this. 250 ml, which is just over 8 US ounces. Brilliant stuff. But then I found this in the UK store, The Range. So that's texture paste, that's modeling paste. This is 1,000 milliliters, which is nearly 34 US ounces. So this was $7.99, honestly. And come to find out, they're the exact same thing, which just blows my mind. So I have used some of this texture paste, the brand name stuff, and I've done a lot with this as well. And I'm quite impressed with it. So that's what we're going to try today, is the modeling paste. So before I actually get started, I've pulled my stencils out there behind me. I need to get something protective down here, because once this Brusho starts opening, watch out. So let me prep the top of my desk, and I'll be back in just a tick. Right, so I've got some of my mixed media paper down as protection at the bottom. So the Brusho crystals come in these little pots. And I bought this little container because when I'm working with these and the lids are off, the very last thing you want to happen is one of these pots to tip over. So let's pop that out of the way. I have seen firsthand what happens, and it's not pretty. So for this test piece, and of course I've left the stencils behind me. Hold on, let's grab one. Anyone. There we go. And it's just playing with it and trying to keep yourself clean at the same time, honestly. So the texture paste just looks like white glue. And like in Steph's video, she's had to go using polyfiller as well. So I'm going to put a bit in there. And then leave that one there. And I've chosen a couple of greens, a couple of browns, a couple of blues. just to experiment with a bit. So let's have a go with a little bit of light brown. So again, take the cap off, pop the cap in there, safe for a minute. You do not want that pot to go anywhere. So if I add, take a clean palette knife, and I am quite literally just going to put that much in there of the light brown. Pop that back in there so it can't tip over. And give it a mix. Takes it a moment, but as soon as moisture hits these crystals, you're a way to go. So that's very light. That's almost gray. But that's sort of the color that you got. So to that light brown, I want to add, ooh, let's try some green. I'm going to go with leaf green. I think it's, yeah, emerald green and leaf green I've got. And I find it just so fascinating that the greens are yellow. The actual powder is yellow. So again, I'm going to put a tiny bit on, and let's give it a go. Mixing. And you do have, there is black in there. I've had mixed success with that. I've also added a liquid watercolor to this modeling paste as well, and that works well as well. So that's a lovely sort of light green we got going on. Not very grungy. Let's try, humor me a second, add a teeny bit of dark brown to that. And you do not want the powder for this to land on anything else, because you get instant color. And I can always go back and add more paste. But for an experiment today, to go into the Great Ugly, come on, there we go. I'm not great working with the palette knives. It's still a new artistic concept to me. Well, there's still got color mixing going on. Saw a streak of red go through there from one of the crystals. So that's quite a yummy green now. So let's try with a stencil. And actually, change my mind. I'm going to go with one of these old ones. Try something like that. Something like that. And what I forgot to mention as well is behind me I also have a roasting tin that is full of water. Because as soon as you put this stuff down, you want to get your stencil into some water. You need to get it clean. You don't want this stuff to dry on your stencil. So this is the bit that I'm not very experienced at. So I'm going to scoop some up. And then just sort of work it across my stencil. This bit is the bit that I really need some more practice with, because I need to sort of look up some videos on how techniques of handling a palette knife and sort of, I think I'm doing it right. I don't really know. So smooth it down, get all that extra paste off the top and back into the pots. And moment of truth. There we go. Now this goes in water so that it doesn't set. And handy dandy baby wipe. Then there we go. Now that can be put over to dry for a spell. So you do need a bit of space for this. And what's left here, I'm just going to knock off because these test pieces are going in the Great Ugly. And I don't really care if they're super messy. So I'm going to put that one with a lid for just a minute because I'll come back to it. Oh, come on. Cooperate. Thank you. And let's grab another, oh, I don't know. Let's go for another green. Yeah, let's go for another green. Let's get the black out. Where is the black? There it is. Oh, that's not even opened. Oh, watch this now. First time I opened some of these, a little puff of color came out. Oh, there we go. Let's put the black one in there. And try for a darker green. Try the emerald green. And then darken it if we need to, or add brown to it. So how is the emerald green a lighter yellow? That just blows my mind a bit. Sorry, I'm trying to lean over the table here. So get some paste in here. I haven't really tested these. I might leave some of this stuff in. If there's any extra left over, I might leave it in one of these pots just to see how long it actually keeps in an airtight container like that versus the big jar. If it ever, come on. Oh, roll on Friday, I'm telling you. Right, what did I say we're going to do? Let's try these leaves on that one. That stencil really just doesn't work, does it? Hold on a minute. Nope. I do apologize for the indecision. Now this stencil I can probably get away with just wiping. Let's try that. My weight's gone. There we go. It's not a great stencil, but a few of the bridges on it have broken, but we'll see. There. So what did I say we're doing? Yes, the dark brown. Might help if I flip the lid over so I know what I'm doing. No, that's the leaf green. That was the emerald. Put a little bit more into that one and see. I'd have no idea how these crystals are made, but it's a bit like magic. And I have seen one of the bigger channels for junk journaling. I can't remember her name though. Do work with the Brusho crystals, but she was dyeing paper with them. I've not tried that yet. So that's, to me, that's quite minty looking at the moment. So do I add some black or brown to it? That's the dark brown. Let's try some dark brown. And put it back in there. And this cloth here that I'm wiping the dry crystals, the palette knife on, you should see that then when I go and wash it out in the sink. Because honestly, all the water hits those tiny bits of crystals. I'm making a right muddle of this. That's quite muddy looking now. Ooh, no, it's not. It's coming together now. Oh, there's still crystals on the palette knife. Now that is a lush, sagey color, isn't it? Do I go for that, or do I add black to make it a little bit darker? Seeing how I haven't used the black, let's have a go. There we go. And sorry, I didn't realize this video would just be me stirring. There we go. I may go back and sort of pre-mix some colors now and pause it. Oh, I do like that. It's still not all the way mixed. You can see there's tiny streaks of blue and there's a tiny streak of red and all sorts in there. So it does need a bit of working. No, I like that. Let's try. On the stencil, or do you load it on the back of the palette knife? I don't really know. Let's try the back. Oh, see, that's not all the way mixed. I can see the streaks in that. And moment of truth. You can actually see the streak of a couple of the crystals. I wonder if that'll show up when it's dry. I don't know. Let's pop this away. Right, how long have I been running? Right, I'm going to pop a cap on that one. And I'm going to mix up, pre-mix a few more colors. And then I'll pop back on and we'll go through the rest of the pieces. I might actually, yeah. Let me mix some more off camera. But you get the idea. You just keep mixing the colors into the paste until you get the color you're after. So I'm going to do some mixing and then I'll pop back on. Back in a few ticks. Right, so as you can see, I've gotten myself in quite a state. I've had to go with some different mixtures of these. I've got two greens. I've got a lovely blue that's come out using, that was the Prussian blue and a bit of black. And two different browns, though I'm not sure because they look very grey, wet. But when I was mixing this one up, I noticed that misting it with a bit of water helps to sort of activate the crystals. And that little bit of water isn't going to, and if you notice, this was, the other ones I've used the modeling paste. This little square container here is the brand name texture paste. So it is a bit lumpier and it is a tiny bit thicker, but I think the texture paste is meant to go down sort of on canvas. But for junk journaling purposes, the modeling paste goes down just as well. It's technique and skill that I need to work on now. So I've got some test pieces from Righteous New Kit, Echoes de la Nature, that I want to play on as a test. I've got an idea in mind for her new kit, but I'm not entirely sure which direction it's going yet. So that will be coming up hopefully this week. I've had some treasure hunting done And some of my try it again, Faith. Some of my treasure hunting needed tea dyeing. So hopefully I'll get that sorted this week. I had to sort of clean the decks and reset the room after Penelope, because she was like a tornado going through here. So right, let's get some of this green on. I don't know why it's gone clumpy. It hasn't done that before. Let's give it a go. So yeah, the texture paste is a bit thicker. I have seen recipes online of people make their own using gesso. I think it's gesso, talc, and PVA, I think. I've not had a go doing that. I do love Jess's idea of using the polyfiller and just working with it until you think you've got the right texture. But my technique with the palette knife definitely needs some work. Not a tool I've ever used that often. Right, get that back in there so it can live for another day. And let's have a go. And I'm just using what I call the kids' washi. Children's washi tape. The plain colours and glitter ones and ones I wouldn't necessarily use myself. So let's have a go. Please work. Ooh, I do like that. This goes in water until, sorry for my squeaky chair. Ooh, I do like that. That's lush. So I'll put this to dry. And let's try one more in another color. Where's the lid to that? I'm going to try to use this paste up on scraps and things. But I do want to leave one of them a bit longer in one of those pots to see what their lifespan is like. So I've got another scrap. I don't want that piece. Let's put it over. There we go. That one, I want to try to mask that. So I'm just going to tear a piece of printer paper, wonky-ish, and mask that shape a bit without any square corners. Pop that there. And pop my favorite stencil of all time. That's Lavinia on top. And stick it down on a couple of corners so it doesn't move. I've just got to be careful pulling this off that I don't pull the paper up, which I've just done there. I've taped that. Go in that corner. And let's have a go. Blue I want to try. And let's try misting this with a bit of water as well before we stir it. I'll throw that in the water. Oh, ew. Water. Rach tickled me the other day about the accent thing, because that's been my existence for the last, I don't know, 2007 I came to Wales. So mix this with some water. Look, you could see the crystals in there reacting. And give it another stir. I think that is the way forward. If I'm using this paste, when I drop my Brusho crystals in there, I need to mist them with a little bit of water to get the magic to happen. And these, I'm not going to heat these up to dry. I am going to leave them overnight. And we'll revisit tomorrow. I don't know how this video is going to play out after editing, but we shall see. Part of my great ugly adventure is just to go for it and see how it happens. I don't know why I'm doing the middle. There's nothing there. Just because it's satisfying, I suppose. Right, and then scrape back any excess I can to go back in the pot. Oh, come on. I am making a mess now. All right, and please work. Please, please, please work. Peel that off. There we go. And the next one. And in the bin with you. And please, please, please. It's a bit messy. But different. Needs practice. Because I can see there where it's bled under the stencil. If you look at my stencil, it's actually bled under the stencil. So I don't know. Ooh. That's not going in the bin. That can live with me. The stencil goes in water. So, no, that's one step done, at least for now. I need to tidy up. I might pop some more bits down on my scraps over here and then leave it all to dry overnight and then revisit tomorrow. So, for you, we'll be back and check. Right, I've done one more piece at least before turning in for the night. I want to explain these. The very first time I ever had to go with this paste, I used my leftover paste to push into some of these silicone molds. So lots of little like decorative trims and bits. But when I took them out of the molds, I just sort of laid them on this coaster. So they've all gone a little bit wibbly wobbly. So I think taking them out of the molds, they need to be laid flat somewhere to finish the curing process. So before I do turn in for tonight, I'm going to take, I don't have many of these molds, just a few that are shallow enough. And I'm going to take some of this paste I've done tonight and push some into these molds to leave sit to dry on a sunny windowsill overnight. So that's it for me, and I will be back tomorrow. 2 ticks for you. Right, and back the following day. Bit of an update. These are the scrap pieces that I did. And as you can see, the color does dry slightly different when it's dry. That blue, that piece there as well. And it's quite raised, but it's not raised high enough to like be an impediment in a journal. And I quite like the way that collage page from Ray just turned out with that stencil. So for the other 2 pieces I did last night, I have torn them out. I want to sort of play with this modeling paste more. So these are just 2 experiments to go into the Great Ugly. That's upside down. To go into the Great Ugly. Combining the Brusho crystals and the modeling wax with stencils, and also remembering to use experiment with this paste more as well. So that's gone on quite messily, but I'm quite pleased for the Great Ugly to go in. And I've got a couple of fabric clusters that I'm just going to add in just for interest, but I put those little pieces there that were from that first attempt, squishing the modeling paste into the molds, and I've just rubbed it with a bit of the wax and stapled a couple of pieces of fabric together. So I'm going to get those into the book, but before I do that, I need to go off and write my little note to self on why I've put this idea into the Great Ugly, and how I definitely need to remember to get these materials out more frequently to play with, because I'm still very new with working with them and working with the palette knife and things like that, and the molds, to be honest. So just going to stick these two down quick, and I'm going to go and write my note, and I'll jump back now with the Great Ugly to get them put in. So, pin in the glue, and back in a tick. Right, and here we are with the Great Big Ugly, and let's get these stuck down. So I'm going to stick them now nearly all the way around. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. Am I on camera? I'm going to leave a little bit of gap on one side to stick my note, my sort of note to self in. About so far. And just stick them directly into the book. And I'll show you my notes now. Come on, Art, do your thing. The state of my hands, honestly. Someone told me a trick today as well, because I had Brusho stains all over my fingers, was to use lemon juice, but I don't know. I haven't tried that. Pin in the glue, and what a messy time this has been. Note to self is just to play more, have more play sessions using the paste and the Brusho, play more with different methods of applying the gilding wax. So if anybody's got any tips for that, please let me know. And I definitely need a better water bath tray. I want a better tray to keep in here as a water bath. So I'm just going to fold that up wonky and stick it in. There we go. Happy days. And the same on that side. I've just put, I want to attempt to do a book plate like this, but build up multiple layers of the raised paste, but I just need to play more. And I still want to have a go making my own DIY stencils, and perhaps keep an eye out in my secondhand treasure hunting for those little silicone molds. I won't pull those down because they're not dry yet. I'll probably leave them there for a couple of days. So I've left that one there. So I've got a little note stuck in there. The only thing nearby this one is that page. I think this is from Hither and Yon, and it's just 4 pieces of 6x6. So that's a piece, those are a piece, that's a piece, that's a piece. Just cut them in half, trim the half of them to be your cards slightly shorter, and notch them. And it's really effective, especially if you build up multiple sort of higgledy-piggledy versions of them. Great way to use up 6x6s. So right before I sign off then, I'm not going to close that yet. I'm going to leave that, I'm going to leave it laying open overnight, just that I know that wax is completely set. I think it is, but I don't want them to stick together. So the last one now is those pots that I mixed up and said I was going to leave overnight. It didn't work. This is the brand name texture paste, and you can like pick it up and almost work it like Play-Doh. which I found really interesting. But it was thicker by nature, so I'm thinking, has it dried that little bit faster? So I'm assuming it'll still harden. So what I'm going to do before I do my final cleanup is I'm going to put some gloves on and sit down and play with this and see if I can get it pushed into things to make different impressions. This stuff, let me get something to poke it with. There we go. This stuff, the modeling paste, is like slime. It is like the texture of kids' slime. So I'm going to put some gloves on, and I'm going to have a go pushing it into something. What, I don't know yet, before I clean it up. I don't want to throw it away. I want to play with it a little bit. And let's see these other ones. I think they're all about the same. No? Ooh, interesting. That one's still good. How is that then? How strange. That one's still good, so that gets to get stenciled on something. That one. Nope, that one's gone a bit gelatinous as well. Hold it up to the camera. That one's gone like slime. So that one can get played with over here. And that blue one, that one's still good. There's not much of it. But what's in there is still, will still go onto a palette knife through a stencil. How very strange. I wonder if I had more Brusho in there. I don't really know. Anyhow, that's all for me. I'm going to wash my hands, get some gloves on, and then play with this stuff and see what I can do. So thank you ever so much for being patient with me with this one. And there's my idea for this week for my 100-day challenge and the Great Big Ugly. Next challenge, edit it all together. So wish me luck, my darlings, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.